Speaking of being raised in the like non-Asian population, when you came to UT, did you like want to like be friends with Asian people or was it like not a priority?
No, it was when I got to Austin, I was like, oh my God, there are so many Asians here. You don't even know. And all the different restaurants, like I've never had kimbap before or like Thai food, like never before. I still haven't had pho yet. So like coming to Austin was like, oh.
Wow.
I call it my Asian education because I literally like I had no other Asian friends here. And now like I made so many Asian friends. And it's not like I did it on purpose, but it's just like it's glad to be part or I'm glad to be part of like a community that I actually relate to. So
Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Nuanced Nonsense. This is your co-host Alex.
Your other co-host Ben?
And today we brought on our friend Joie. She's a rising sophomore at the University of Texas at Austin. She's an RTF major, and she recently started production on her TV show, What the Hell? And I forgot our tagline. It's we're Nuanced Nonsense, and we're not experts. We just like talking. Yeah, so what's an entertaining TV show or movie that you've watched recently?
so I started watching Money Heist on Netflix like a few weeks ago with my friend via like Netflix party. It's a Spanish TV show and it's really intense and like it's full of action. It's really entertaining.
Wait, what is it about?
So the like premise is that there's this group of like outcasts in Spain, and for like a few years they planned this giant heist on the Spanish mint, and then the first season is all about how they execute their plan. So you see like how they do it, and there's like a mastermind. It's all really really smart, so it's like really cool to watch.
Mm.
How do you feel about like 200 IQ characters? Because those are like my favorite.
I don't know. It's like the way that they set up this show is like the mastermind behind the plot isn't actually in the mint, but he like planned out everything to the T. So like when you think something's gonna go wrong, he has a plan already. So it's just like it's incredible because like you could never be that person.
That reminds me of a lot of like anime I used to watch. Death Note.
The glasses guy.
Yeah. Or that's one like that's like Detective Conan. He's also like really smart too. Like there's always the ones where like you like they'll say part of the plan and then that part of the plan will fail because like there's like always that rule in like film like if you know the plan if the audience knows the plan then like it's not gonna work. But then like he's like it looks like oh they're trapped and like it's like everything's gonna fail and he's just like but I knew that you knew about my plan. So I pulled this off. And you're just like it's like I can't tell if this is good writing or not, but I'll just
Yeah.
roll with it. Yeah. How often do you watch like Spanish like cinema or like TV shows?
I would say like maybe like a third of all of the media I watch is Spanish, just because there's a lot that's like popular right now. There's Money Heist, which is getting a lot of attention, and then there's Elite, which is also like really popular with like teenagers. And
Mm.
there's also good Spanish film like all the time every year. So yeah.
What was the
This sounds
first
good.
what was the first Spanish like I guess piece like Spanish form of media you've watched?
Um, Honestly, the first one would probably have to like be in like sixth grade when I took exploratory Spanish in middle school because we had to watch a movie that was just supposed to like show us a bit of Mexican culture, right? But it was like in Spanish with subtitles. So yeah, it was a long time ago. And I don't remember what it was about, but it was cool.
Dude, it reminds me of like telenovelas. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Have y'all seen Jane the Virgin? That's a
I've
really
heard of
good
it.
TV
I've heard it's
show.
really
I have
good.
not. What is it about?
It's it's like it's like an American sitcom spin-off in the structure of a telenovela, but you're not supposed to like you only know it's a telenovela if you like watch telenovelas yourself. But
Mm.
like I don't know, it's like super dramatic, but it also appeals to like American audiences who don't necessarily know that structure very well themselves. And it's so funny. It's like so good.
Mm. Wait, what exactly are telenovelas? Are they like Spanish soap operas?
Kind of.
Pretty much, I think so. They're basically like sitcoms, but like Spanish.
Mm.
Like,
Don't
have
quote
you
me on
ever?
that.
Do you know who Eva Longoria is?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
A
in
really
Modern
famous
Family.
telenovela actress, and it's like the iconic like telenovela pose is just like her standing. It's like arms crossed, and there's like wind blowing like her hair back in a house. That's like the iconic scene.
Yeah.
I see. I'm gonna be honest. The only thing I know about Eva Longoria is that she was Tony Parker's ex-wife, and he cheated on her with a teammate's wife.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. I was like, Tony Parker is a dick. But yeah,
Is that the basketball player?
yeah. This is San Antonio Spurs point guard. But yeah, the spicy drama that
Oh
unfolded.
my god. Wait, dude, speaking of drama, I recently found this out. There's this like YouTuber that like he's like a Twitch streamer and he got really famous for like streaming on Twitch, right? And then he like has this girlfriend who's like kind of sus, but like he liked her, right? And so it's like the audience just rolled with it. So there's like, okay, it's whatever, you know? And recently, like there was a lot of allegations. Like I just found out after the allegations blew over is that like she's cheating on him, right? And then it came to light that she actually was cheating on him with multiple people. And then she like he like because of that he got like super sad and like he just like disappeared from the internet for a little bit because he's like, you know, I need a break. Like this is, you know, my personal life is really taking a toll on my mental health. And then the girl like made a video just the other day basically justifying her cheating. And I was just like, bruh. And then he made a video coming back and he didn't say anything about her. He was just like, he's like, I'm back, guys. Like, what's up? It's been a while. And I just like thought about it. I was like, the mental like fortitude this guy has is like crazy. Because like he literally like found out about this because of the internet. Like he had no way found out on his own.
That's rough.
Dang.
Basically, the point of that story is that like some people are like really mentally strong, and I respect that.
You couldn't write a worse script than that.
Yeah, I know.
What are
Yeah.
your have y'all ever watched like YouTube films? Because I know like YouTube back in like 2016 or like something like that, like they try to like make a big push to like host like YouTube Red, like host like special
Oh,
like TV series and like special films. Because I know like there's a big movement kind of like there's like kind of the divide between like digital and like actual like film cameras.
I personally haven't. I usually like stay away from the web series type
Mm,
TV shows and films just because I don't know, I have like a certain bias against that kind of quality, but
yeah.
I'm sure like there's some good ones out there that I just don't know about.
What about you, Ben?
I think I've only watched like a handful of like docu series like on YouTube. I think those are like surprisingly high quality. Like I watched a little bit of like the Shane Dawson ones. And those are like surprisingly interesting, and I feel like those are the most famous. And I watched like one by like iDubbbz and like that. But in general, I haven't watched any YouTube films. Like I've only heard like that it didn't pan over well, which is why YouTube Red isn't like as poppin' anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if it like took off, I would have heard about it because I don't know. I feel like I watch so much stuff. If it was popular, I would have seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I really don't think I watched any or seen any.
Mm. Yeah, I think they rebranded YouTube Red, right? It's now like
Originals.
Premium.
YouTube Original, YouTube Premium. I know like they have like it's kind of like replacing like they're trying to like replace cable. So like you can stream like live TV shows, you can stream um you can stream like sports games. I remember I was trying to like find this document. It's like kind of a documentary over like there's this like Washington Redskins player called Alex Smith, and then like basically like one day like he was playing and then like his leg got destroyed because like someone like a 360 I think pound like lineman just like fell on him, and like they're trying to chronicle like his recovery process because they almost had to amputate it for him to like survive. So I was like trying to watch it, and then Reddit was kind of like, "You're not in luck," and I was like, "This is unfortunate." And like, and then one thread was like, "You need to get a YouTube TV like free trial, and that's how you can watch it." And I was really contemplating it, but I haven't made the decision yet. But yeah, so that's just something that's been on my mind because I know like Netflix is like trying to like really get into the film industry, and like I know there's some directors like Christopher Nolan and I think like Quentin Tarantino who are super big on like kind of filming like movies on like traditional film cameras. So I just wanted to know like, is that like a topic that's kind of like brought up a lot in like I guess like RTS circles, or is it something like you feel passionate about as well?
Um, the phenomenon of like a lot of media being streamable now comes up a lot, but the specific like part about traditional film, I don't think so. I feel like that's kind of like I would say like an indie trend.
Mm,
I don't know. I haven't really heard about that.
yeah.
To circle back to something you brought up earlier about like a show getting popular, like how do you feel about like popular shows versus more like art house shows? Like for example, it would be like Marvel versus something that's like indie.
Uh, I mean, I. Hmm, what do you mean by that? Like, how do I feel about? Do I prefer
Or
one or the other?
I guess like my what I was intending to ask was like how do you feel about like really like niche shows getting popular?
Um, what do you mean by niche?
Oh my, well, I'm like wording this so poorly today.
I guess
Like
like maybe
shows,
like more low budget stuff or like stuff that like maybe like initially there weren't that many streams or like there's not that many people know about it. But then
I
like
guess it was more like low budget obscure things.
yeah.
I mean, I think if a content is like entertaining or like high quality, and previously it just hadn't gotten a lot of popularity, and now it is, I think that's fine. And I actually like that because it gives everyone a chance to like be seen or whatever. But I also appreciate like the extremely popular shows too. Like I watch CW shows, even though I know they're not very good quality, but like I have to watch them to stay like, what is it like, whatever's like popping, pop
Yeah.
culture.
You gotta know
Yeah.
what's going on in the mainstream.
Hmm.
Wait, speaking of CW shows, do you watch what is it like Supergirl and The Flash? Where is it like
I watched The Flash. I feel like in the first seasons before it got like typically CW bad, but no, I haven't watched Supergirl, but I have heard it's good. The only CW shows that I've like watched specifically were Riverdale, the first
mm,
season, and All American, which is on
mm.
Netflix too.
Mm. Dude, I
And
didn't know Riverdale was based on like Archie comics. I thought it was like just like some edgy murder mystery, which I guess it kind of is, but like they basically just like made a darker like interpretation of Archie. But like
I
when I
didn't.
looked into like Archie comics, it's just basically like some like slice of life like love triangle between like Archie and like two girls. But then yeah, now when I see like Riverdale, I'm like, oh, this just seems like really dark, bit interesting.
Yeah, my one of my friends is actually stuck with the show, and it's on like its fourth or fifth season now or something. But like it went from being like slice of life, high school drama to like cults and murder, stuff like that. And I don't get how it goes to that so quickly.
Yeah. Have y'all can y'all think of like any like other TV shows or movies that like have had like a really like jarring tonal shift from like maybe like beginning to like the end?
Um,
I can think of
you
like
say that the thing. Oh, sorry.
oh
When you say that, the thing I think about is like Harry Potter. because like the first book is all like whatever, and then around the third book or whatever, like you start actually getting into like Voldemort's real like plan or whatever, and the dark side or whatever. So I saw this thing where it was like they took color splices from like frames from like all of the 7, 8 films, and like compared how it was like lighter at the beginning and then much darker at the end. So like if you think about it, for the whole series, it did have a jarring tone shift somewhere in there.
What were you gonna say, Ben?
I was just gonna say Attack on Titan because that was the most recent thing I could think of.
Oh yeah, have you watched Attack on Titan, Joey?
I know about it. All I know is that like it's an anime where like people are living, but they're like in a community surrounded by titans that like eat them.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, I feel like if we go into like the tonal shift, it's kind of a big spoiler, and
Yeah.
if you haven't watched it, it probably won't be that. It'll probably be too confusing. But yeah, there is a pretty big tonal shift. But yeah, I definitely see that for what you said about Harry Potter. I remember specifically like at the end of the Goblet of Fire when like everyone kind of turns on him for saying Voldemort is back. Like that's definitely when like it becomes a lot darker and like depressing, and like Harry's like a lot more emo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like the change in tone, or were you kind of just like, what's going on?
When I first like watched it, I was kind of little, so I didn't really quite understand like how the gravity of like the character's situation changed really fast. But I mean, I think it's a good storytelling, and like overall the tone shift is not super jarring, so like you kind of get eased into the conflict as you go through the series. So yeah.
I was just gonna say like Daniel Radcliffe's evolution as an actor is crazy.
Yeah.
What about Robert Pattinson's evolution as an actor?
From like
From like
being
Twilight,
Cedric Diggory to
yeah.
Twilight.
So,
Yeah.
from like
to the
now he's like
lighthouse.
in like the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Lighthouse, Ben?
I've heard of it. It's like, was it nominated for something?
Was it nominated for something?
I swear I've seen the title before. I can envision what I'm thinking of. It's like a lighthouse with like two dudes standing in front of it. It's
Yeah,
like movie
like
poster.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
I feel like it was nominated for like Best Picture or something, right?
I think it was up at the Oscars.
It was
I don't
nominated
think
for
it won though.
It was nominated for Best Cinematography. Yeah,
I think what I heard about it was that it was shot on like traditional film, and it's like in black and white, and also at a different aspect ratio. Like it's more of like a square instead of like wide.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true because I haven't seen it, but like that's what I heard.
Yeah. I know it's like a very psychological horror film, I think, because it's just basically like two like lighthouse guys just like going insane. But yeah, I haven't seen anything because like I'm not super into horror. But yeah.
You guys watched Annihilation with Natalie Portman?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like what I was thinking of, like psychological horror.
Oh really?
Yeah. Or The Invitation.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay, never mind. Forget I said that.
Do you like horror, Joey? I know that's like a pretty big like genre, like I guess like stereotypical genre that like people assume that like film buffs like.
Yeah, it's a staple genre, and I've recently got into it more now that I'm like more of an adult than when I was little, because I used to be too afraid to watch them.
Yeah.
But when Get Out came out, which I think was like almost 10 years ago, question mark, I don't know when it came out exactly, but I watched Get Out, and that was like a psychological thriller / horror that I actually really liked, and because of that, like I kind of like horror now. So yeah, I could see myself writing / directing horror movies. I feel like it's an experimental genre, like you can do a lot with it. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember there's like I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know if this is right because this is just like a kind of like a hunch or an observation, but I feel like there's a lot of like links between like comedy and horror. Because I know like Jordan Peele, the director of like Get Out, was like he was like he became famous for like Key and Peele on like his
Mhm.
sketches on SNL. Um, so yeah, I was like kind of thinking about like, oh, like I guess maybe there's a lot of like similarities between like what makes us laugh and like what makes us scared. Because I know like a lot of comedians like when they're like writing like jokes and like stand up and stuff like they're trying to go for like a shock value basically. Like they're trying to say like the most like outrageous thing that they can get away with. Like I remember one time I was listening to like a Dave Chappelle special, and like his opening joke was like, I once knew a guy who was like really smart and he went to Yale, but unfortunately, he was from the hood and he did not have good life decisions. So he married a girl he met at Yale and she divorced him. And she took everything he had, which was nothing. So basically, this guy is like now homeless and then like he's like back in the street. He basically has to go back and live with his mom. And then Dave Chappelle doesn't hear from this guy for like a while. And when he's back in like DC, because that's where he's from, and he's like at Foot Locker trying to buy like I don't know like soccer cleats or something for like his kid, and he runs into a guy wearing a referee shirt, and it's his friend from Yale, and he's like, "Oh, how you been?" He's like, "You know, things haven't been good." And he's like I've been living with my mom. I've been trying to get back on my feet, and then he switches to another joke, and he's like, "You must not forget that Anthony Bourdain killed himself." And he's like, with that job, like he could like go around the world eating anything he wants, and he still killed himself. He's like, but this guy, it did not occur to him at one moment that he should just kill himself to end his pain. And he's like, I even suggested it too. And I was like, what the? I was like, it was like so surprising that I was like, I couldn't help laugh, even though it was like, even though like objectively it's like incredibly like bad. That yeah. So I guess like what I'm trying to get with this is just like, yeah, I guess like do y'all think also like think or like see like cause the links between like comedy and horror? Because I guess that's just something I just recently noticed.
Yeah, I definitely think if you know what makes people laugh, you can also know what makes people scared. And I don't know if y'all have seen the movie Cabin in the Woods, like The Cabin in the Woods. It's like
No.
it's
Who
like a horror comedy, and it's like once you watch it, you figure out that it's like kind of I don't know if I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's like a parody on like legitimate horror movies, like making fun of them. So it also manages to be funny, but it's also a horror movie still. So it was really interesting to watch because like you were laughing but you're scared. It was great.
Oh, I think I might have heard of this. It's like they have like common tropes right found in like each horror film. Like they have like Japanese horror and like American horror and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, they played on like different character tropes in Cabin of the Woods a lot, and that's like where they got a lot of the humor from. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think I might check that out. I like I really like kind of like meta stuff or like stuff that's like it pokes fun at itself because I think that's an important trait to have, like not taking yourself too seriously.
it was super meta, so you would like it.
I remember there's this one film I watched with Alex, and we were talking like we were watching the first half of it. And it was like it was kind of outrageous, and we're like, we're not too into it. And Alex especially, until there's a certain moment in time, they like bring up this thing, and it's like a plan to like defeat the bad guy. And it's like it's called Deus Ex Machina, and then Alex was immediately his attitude shifted. And he was like, "This is amazing film."
Oh yeah, yeah. 'Cause I remember like the first half of the film, like it was like it was like an anime film. It was definitely very like there was very good visuals. It was like very well animated. But like the plot and the characters were like very simple. So I was kind of just like, I don't get what's so special about this. But then the moment that like that, because like basically it was like a you know like mecha is, but it's just like it's like basically like just robots fighting each other. But then there was like some special robot that came, and then they're like, we will use this robot to defeat the enemy, and it's called Deus Ex Machina. And then I was like, that's it because it really is that. So yeah, and then I fell in love with the film.
But yeah, back to the horror and comedy thing. I think a lot of the times, like especially when I watch horror with friends, we end up making jokes about it like after the fact, but in the moment we're scared, like really, really scared. Like I remember I watched Lights Out with a couple friends and we were like pretty scared during the film, but then afterwards we played Jackbox and we were just like making fun of like the movie the whole time. So I can see the links between the two, comedy and horror.
Yeah.
To circle back to your TV show, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so my TV show is currently just a TV show pilot episode, but it's the premise is that there's a demon that kind of pisses off the devil in the bureaucracy of hell, so they have to escape to Earth where they possess a human so that they can disguise themselves because they're being hunted by demon hunters who are demons sent by the devil. And while on Earth, the demon inside the human has to try and figure out how to blend in. So they basically need to learn really fast how to be human, which is kind of like the overall theme of the series if we get a series. So it's kind of along the lines of Lucifer, The Good Place, and Good Omens. Yeah.
Did those shows inspire you to like sort of make the plot of this?
So the program that I'm in where we get to create this show puts us into a group. So I wasn't the one that actually came up with the original idea, but I ended up writing it with like 3 other people who are in my group. So I'm not exactly sure what inspired my partner, but I think The Good Place was the biggest influence on it because I feel like that kind of sitcom-ish feel is what we're going for.
What was it like, I guess, like a ride? Like, have you ever like kind of wrote like a series or like story with like a group before?
Um, sort of like only in small projects. This is by far the largest project that I've done, and it's only just an episode, so it's about like 20 pages of script. If it gets picked up for a series, then it'll definitely be the most I've ever written for anything.
Mm. What what is like how would you like describe, I guess, the process of like writing in like a group, like a writer's room per se? Because I guess like I've kind of heard of like that term used before, but like I've never really, I guess, understood like exactly what like goes into that. Because I guess I've always kind of known TV shows to be kind of like there's like a superstar writer, kind of
Yeah.
like yeah.
Uh, so in the program, the guy whose idea it was had a general like plot in mind for the episode, and then when we became his partner to help write it, basically what we had to do is all agree to be like equals in changing or editing or and writing the script. And so we just laid out what we wanted the plot to be, and then we would each submit like acts, like so most episodes are broken up into 3 acts, and then we would each write our own act according to what we wanted the plot to be, and then we would all come together, read each other's edit, and then choose one that we would use the most, and then we collectively like write it onto the final product, but like including everybody's say, and like it was very collaborative, which was nice. There was no like one person who was trying to be the writer. We're all the writers.
Mm.
Curiously, when you write for like TV shows versus like a book, do you write like as in like the stage directions, like this person is talking, they say this, and then like that, or is it still written kind of like a book where it's like a narrative?
It's definitely written in the structure of like a script. So it's like there's a there's like an action line, then there's the speaker, their dialogue, and then action continues, whatever. But we also do write it like a book because it ends up reading like a book if you ignore like how it's literally structured on the page. So I would say if you're a good writer, as in like narrative and like traditional literature, you would also be a good screenwriter because you would have to know how things read and like come off and sound once you like perform them or just like read them off of a paper. So I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. It would just require you to like understand the format.
Mm.
Mm.
Do they make you take like do they make you take like like play writing classes in like your RTF program?
So I think when we end up choosing a path, there are even smaller paths that you get to choose from. And then one of them would be screenwriter, in which case you do take multiple classes. But I think every RTF major who goes to the film production route has to take at least one because we're supposed to be well rounded and then have like a specialty. So yes, we do all have to like learn how to write screenplays.
Mm. Actually, like I'm kind of curious about like the structure of like RTF at like UT because I know like RTF is like considered to be like a pretty good, I guess, like media arts program in like the country. So I guess yeah, I know like RT and S stands for like radio, television, and film. But like I guess could you go like a little like more into like I guess the differences between like each like path you can take?
Yeah, sure. So every underclassman has to take wait, what's it called? It's an underclassman, right? There's like there's like higher classes and lower classes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
upper division versus
upper
the
division and lower
Okay,
division.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lower division, we all have to take the same 4 core RTF classes, which are like basic media studies and sort of like narrative storytelling and whatever. But then once we graduate to upper division, we break into like the different paths. So in theory, there's a radio, television, and film path, but I'm pretty sure the radio path is very small and there might be only like a few classes. And then television and film are pretty much the same because you have to learn the same sort of like infrastructure of like the industry and like how to produce a show and like production wise. But so there's like TV and film, and then you can go on like the director route, which is super popular at UT. There's a screenwriting route, which is also really popular but less competitive. And then there's like producers, which are literally just like the organizers behind production. So they're not the creators or the creatives usually, but they like help put together the project. And I don't think like acting is part of RTF. I feel like that would be more theater. But like, yeah, once you get to upper division, you have way more options and it's much less of a like a strict path. There's like definitely a lot of branches.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense. Are there any people like who want to do like cinematography in RTF? Would that be kind of like in a different program?
Yeah, no, I forgot. Yeah, so there's like directors, screenwriters, cinematography, basically all of like the big creative like titles. There's a path for, and I just forgot cinematography. It's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was like thinking like, are there any other like big roles in film? Because I know like there's like director, producer, like actors, cinematographer. I guess like there's like the composer, but that makes more sense if they're in part of like the music program. But, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious,
I,
does
no,
like
go ahead.
effects like fall into RTF, or is that like a different?
I think we have a few specialized upper division classes that are like animation, visual effects, and like special effects. So yes, but I wouldn't say that RTF the program is like super known for that. So maybe not the best sub program, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think UT even has an animation program, right?
We have classes, but no program.
I
I
see.
actually, fun fact, applied to A&M for their visualization program, which is the animation major.
Mhm.
So I would say if you're like a Texas high school student who wants to do animation, I would go to A&M.
Mm.
There you
I guess that's one category they outrank us by, along with
Yeah.
turf grass sciences.
Yeah.
I remember when I was applying to colleges, they had a major called like turf grass sciences, and I was like, what would you even need this for? It's exactly what it sounds like. And I was like, well, I'll just use this as my backup major. Just so it, yeah, yeah. I know like a lot of people from Pixar are from A&M. I've heard because like
Yeah, I've heard that too.
they have a pretty good like animation program.
Back
What
to
did you,
RTF, what is your focus?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to the director route just because if I want to be in charge of like pretty much every aspect of what you see on screen, I would have to be a director. But don't have to decide yet, especially because I don't really have access to the production classes if it's going to be like an online situation now because of Corona. That entire like process of choosing and then like figuring out by doing hands-on classes might be different, but I'm pretty sure director is where I want to go.
what are some directors that you look up to?
Definitely Quentin Tarantino, which is a very basic answer, but I really love his movies. Greta Gerwig, she's an amazing director, and she's come out with great films in the past like 2 years. And honestly, I should just say Wes Anderson, right? He's a UT grad, and he makes like one of the most beautiful, like visually aesthetic movies out there. So those three are solid.
Mm. Do you have any
What about
directors
y'all?
that you like, Ben? Yeah,
Oh,
she asked the same question.
honestly, like I don't know like even half of what goes into directing a film. Honestly, if it just entertains me, then it is good. And if like this director made this entertaining film, I guess it's good for me. Like I consider like Michael Bay like entertaining. Like honestly,
Yeah.
if it's like just like action movies, like float the boat for me, you know? So just like random stuff happening on screen. If it's just like a lot of visual flair, I'll like it. But then there's also like Bong Joon-ho from like Parasite. I've also watched like Snowpiercer and stuff. Like so it's like really interesting directing is also cool. So it's like honestly, I don't have any specifics. I don't know any specifics. It's just like if it's entertaining, they're good. If it's not, they're bad.
Yeah, I forgot Bong Joon-ho. He's like my idol right now. How could I forget him?
Dang, she's like, am I a fake fan?
I guess I am.
I don't know.
Did you
Like,
watch his other films?
Yeah, I've seen Memoirs of Murder, I think it's called, Snowpiercer, Parasite, and he didn't direct Train to Busan, right?
No.
No.
no, I think that's
Okay. But I went on a streak of watching South Korean directors, and like Bong Joon-ho was definitely the majority of the films I watched.
Yeah, South Korean cinema is like, I guess like low key, I guess for an American, like they're actually like pretty good. Like, cause like my image of them is of like Korean like entertainment is really just like K-pop, like K-dramas. But then like
Mm-hmm.
getting into I guess hearing like watching Parasite, be like, oh, like this sounds like pretty interesting. Like it's like honestly like exposed me to like a whole like another world of like films because like honestly a lot of them are like have a lot of depth and they have a lot of like like complex themes like they tackle about, which is like really cool.
There's one of my, I guess my top 10 movies is called Stoker, and it's directed by a South Korean, but it's like in English, and it's like for Americans, I think. And it's like it's really deep, and it's one of the more like obscure thematically movies, and it's psychological thriller, but you don't really know what's happening half the time until the very end, and you're like, whoa. Yeah. So I think South Korean cinema is like it's very deep.
hmm Yeah, I remember some people because I think I was like because like after I watched Parasite, I was just so hyped, so I like wanted to like preserve that feeling, so I went on Reddit and then I was like reading a lot of like the discussion threads and stuff like that, and they're like pointing out like so many like details that like I didn't notice. Like honestly, I really feel like reading like online discussions and like articles about the film is part of the experience. Like after you watch the film, because it's just like they were pointing out like all sorts of stuff about like the dads like in Parasite, like the dad's feelings of like incompetency and like kind of why like he blew up at the end. And then sorry, spoiler, but it's like stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's like a newfound appreciation for sure. But I mean, part of me was like, how did people like handle like how do people know this stuff before the internet? And then I realized you're meant to rewatch the film and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what I was gonna say earlier is like, what type of storytelling methods do you like to watch? Like, the major two that come to mind are like linear storytelling versus like non-linear.
Um, I would say linear. There's like, so like in our narrative storytelling class that I took last semester, we learned that there's like three main like categories of like narrative. So there's like arc plot, which is like linear. There's anti-plot, which is kind of like Into the Spider-Verse. So it's like it jumps between worlds. It's not linear. There's like different universes, stuff like that. And then there's mini plot, which is kind of like it like lacks linear, but it's not completely like it doesn't like break what you realize is like your world. So I would say somewhere between like arc plot and mini plot, where it's kind of confusing, but it's also not too basic.
Mm. So I
Yeah.
guess somewhere in like the middle.
Yeah. I feel like true mini plot films are like kind of, I don't know, there's like substance, right? But it's really convoluted sometimes. And so you have to really think deeply about it, which, sometimes I don't watch movies for. So
That's true. Like sometimes like you want to watch Michael Bay if you just want to watch like explosions or something.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, I've watched all the Transformers films with my and we've enjoyed all of them.
Enjoyed all of them. Dude, I remember watching like the fourth one because like the first three were like pretty. I mean, they were all right. I mean, the first one wasn't bad in my opinion. It was actually like I guess kind of different for its time. But then like I guess the second three were just like more of that. And the fourth one, I was just like, bro, this is just like a Chinese commercial. Like they're like casually drinking like a Chinese drink. I was like, and like this was like Mark Wahlberg and like just like other like really white people. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's a 2.5 hour commercial, and it made like $1 billion. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I actually saw an article about it, like talking about how Transformers like paints Chinese people in like a really odd light. Like it's positive, but it's like unusual because like for example, they paint out all the Chinese people to be like martial artists that like know what they're doing and they're all like intelligent, like 1,000 IQ. Like, do you know what I'm talking about in the Transformers?
Maybe I remember there was like this one like I don't remember if she was like a scientist, but there was like one girl in like the fourth film who was like kind of like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only thing I remember was like they were in Hong Kong, but they weren't speaking Cantonese, and like I'm Cantonese, so I was kind of mad. I was like, they should be speaking Cantonese. So that did impact my viewing experience because I was biased. But yeah, have you ever watched like Hong Kong cinema before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they're like pretty famous for like kind of like their action films. So like I know like they played a big influence on like The Matrix and like I think and John Wick and like how they film like action sequences. I can't really go into detail about what makes it special if I'm gonna be honest, but I think it's how they film the fight instead of like cutting it. It's like kind of like a sequence, uh, and it's like I don't think there's like too much slow mo. I'm not really sure, but growing up, my dad would like play a lot of like Chow Yun Fat, which is like a really like popular like Hong Kong artist, and then or Hong Kong actor, and then like he was in a lot of like cop films and like yeah stuff like that.
Wait, was Police Story the one with Jackie Chan in it?
That is an excellent question. Let me Google that.
Because I think I've watched Police Story a long time ago when I was young. I just remember them they were like fighting all the time.
Yeah, that's police. Yeah, that's with Jackie Chan.
Okay, yeah. From what I remember of the film, and also things like Kung Fu Hustle, like the action is like the biggest draw.
Yeah. And I guess like there's like comedy too, where like they have like really troll. They just do like really troll stuff in the film as they're fighting. Wait, did we watch Kung Fu Hustle or was it Shaolin Soccer together, man?
We watched Shaolin Soccer.
Oh yeah, dude, that film was incredibly troll.
Wait, have you watched Shaolin Soccer or Kung Fu Hustle?
No,
No.
I know about it because of like the stereotypes that come from it.
Mm. Yeah, you should definitely watch it if you like free time. It's actually pretty funny. Like I just remember just being like, bruh, the whole time. In a good way. It was enjoyable.
It was really funny. I remember, like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but when me and Alex were watching Kung Fu Hustle, I think like our neighbors were like having a party.
Oh yeah, I remember. And we just turned it up.
Yeah, we just
They-
turned it up
And
in
they actually turned
figuratively.
it up. Yeah.
Oh
What
my
are
god.
your thoughts on like Asian American like representation in like the in like American industry right now? I guess like speaking of like Asian films.
I'm definitely glad that Asian Americans are kind of on the rise in terms of representation where there previously wasn't. Like with Crazy Rich Asians and The Farewell, and in more like mainstream Netflix media, like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, with all of the Asian leads, like there's definitely more publicity surrounding it now, which I think is for the best and like definitely beneficial in terms of like all minorities getting representation, because sometimes Asians get ignored, which is like a little bit of an issue. But I feel like we're making up for it now because there's definitely a surge, and I'm glad that I'm like getting into the industry right when it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to like move to Asia to get a job or something. I know
Yeah.
that's what like I remember I had a friend who was like a childhood friend who was like he wanted to be an actor and it's like he moved to like LA. He's actually like Alan Chow. He's like pretty big on like TikTok.
I don't.
Anyway, well, he's out there. But like I remember like because like we used to go to like the same church or whatever, and he was always like really into like theater and stuff. And then like I remember like at first my dad was kind of like he's gonna have to move to China basically. If he wants to make it big. And I was like, all right, that's all right. I mean, I didn't really care, so I was like, sure, because I wasn't really like that close with him. Like he was just like a family friend I knew at like church. So now I was like, but then now like I see a lot of like his like videos like reposted on Facebook. So I'm like, he was born at the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good time to be Asian in the media.
Mhm. Like I sometimes
Yeah.
like I definitely think like YouTube like played a part of it because like I guess before like there was like I guess you had to kind of if you wanted to make it big you kind of had to go like the traditional route. But like I think with like YouTube like you could kind of like just put whatever like, you wanted out there because like it was like its own I guess this like distributing like platform. But
Mhm.
yeah, you didn't have to like worry about that. But I guess even now like I guess now since there's exposure, people who are doing it the traditional route can still like make it in.
Yeah.
There's also like a lot of coincidence with like the rise of K-pop in the West. Now it's like huge. Like especially things like BTS and like Blackpink and stuff like that. It is so big. And so it's like seen as desirable almost because like of the similarity and just like appearance.
Yeah, definitely. South Korean media industry is doing a lot for Asians in America. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember I don't know what it's called. I remember I took like an introduction to Korean history class because for some reason like UTCS requires you to take a foreign language class, but you can substitute that by taking like two foreign culture classes. So I took like introduction to Korean history because I thought it'd just be like K-pop and stuff. But then it turns out Korea has a deep history full of and blood. which was which was okay. But the very last unit, he was like, "Yeah, now we're gonna talk about K-pop," which I'm sure is like why all of y'all signed up for this class. And I was like,
He
"Dang,
knew.
you got me." I wasn't even into K-pop, but I was like, "I'll get into K-pop if it's necessary for this class." But it wasn't, so I never got into it. But
Wait, don't lie to me. This man is a
hey,
K-pop.
okay, I played one song. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm
Dude,
into
shut the fuck
K-pop.
up. This guy listens to EXO and Zico. I hope
I've
everyone.
listened to one song from EXO. Okay, "Call Me Baby" is a perfectly acceptable song to play.
It's
No,
good.
I'm not saying it's unacceptable. I'm saying you listen to K-pop. You also
Oh,
listen to Hello
I've
Zico.
listened to 2 songs. That doesn't count as into K-pop. All right. Anyway, I rest my case. But the point is, back on topic. The point is that he was like, yeah, it's like a form of soft power, like, like kind of like spreading like your culture in like other countries, like makes them more like it's kind of like a form of diplomacy because like you're like people of other countries are like more willing to see like that like Korea in like a more positive light. And like another like interesting video I saw later on was like about like Thailand and like how like there's a lot of Thai restaurants in like the US. There aren't that many like Thai people. Ben is Thai, but um like it was just like Thai I think the Thai government actually like sponsors these restaurants because it's another form of like soft power. So I was like, oh, it's like pretty interesting to see um like I guess the ways that like countries can like be influential like through media. And I guess it's definitely through the power of like globalization and the internet.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like the Thai restaurant stuff is just like, dude, my parents are still like super anti that. They're like, dude, it's not authentic. We could eat so much better. We went back to Thailand. I don't know if you guys have similar experiences, but
I
Mm,
personally don't. I've been raised in a very white town. There's like no Asian restaurants. And if there are Asian restaurants, they're like Chinese food. So
mm. So like, so like you usually don't really care about like authenticity, then, right?
I kind of do. Like I know that the restaurant nearest to me is more authentic than like uh is it like oh Panda Express? Like I know that, but like but I don't like care about it as much as like certain connoisseurs from like Houston do.
Oh yeah, yeah. Houston people are super like, yeah, man, like Chinatown's the best. Or like whenever they come to Dallas, they're always like, because like me and Ben are from Dallas, so sometimes like Houston friends will come up and visit, and they're always like, they're like, honestly, like the only reason why we come to Dallas is they have great Korean food. Like if it wasn't for that, like we have everything else is better. And I was like, dude, you're the one who came here to visit. We're like hosting you. Like, not this doesn't have to be a competition. But yeah, it's always kind of funny. It reminds me of that meme where it's like you're from Dallas and you come to college and you're like, oh, I didn't realize there was such a bit of rivalry between Houston and Dallas. And that was me, basically. I just remember one time I was at a Korean barbecue restaurant and some Houston girl was like, we have this restaurant now too. So Dallas can't even say that we have better Korean food. I was like, there's more to Korean cuisine than Korean barbecue, but okay.
oh my god.
It's all right. You know, we can be gracious and just eat our food in peace because that's why we came.
Speaking of being raised in the like non-Asian population, when you came to UT, did you like want to like be friends with Asian people or was it like not a priority?
No, it was when I got to Austin, I was like, oh my God, there are so many Asians here. You don't even know. And all the different restaurants, like I've never had kimbap before or like Thai food, like never before. I still haven't had pho yet. So like coming to Austin was like, oh.
Wow.
I call it my Asian education because I literally like I had no other Asian friends here. And now like I made so many Asian friends. And it's not like I did it on purpose, but it's just like it's glad to be part or I'm glad to be part of like a community that I actually relate to. So
Mm, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
Like it's definitely like very comforting to like I guess be around people who like look like you and like I guess kind of have a similar cultural background that like you can relate to.
Yeah, on like a slightly less fun note, I mean, being an Asian in my town now is not exactly a great thing. I haven't really gone out
Mm.
at all because I don't want to be harassed by the Caucasian population that is like 90% of us here. So, yeah,
Oh yeah,
not fun times.
yeah, that really sucks. Like, have you heard of like? I guess like you might be the only Asian in town, but have you like heard of any like incidents that have like happened in your town since? Or
um, not locally, but like the area that I'm like my where I live, it's very like hill country kind of like I'm in between the suburbs and like real rural like land. So
Oh,
like in between there's this highway that leads to my house and then there's a sign on the side that was like Kung Fu FU back to work USA or whatever.
bro.
It's like so there are real people who may not necessarily like overtly be racist, like to like an Asian space, but like we definitely have some hatred against Asians for some reason. So I was like, okay, that's discouraging. I'm gonna
Oh,
stay home
yikes.
now.
yeah, that definitely really sucks. I think like I guess yeah, me and Ben are kind of lucky that we're from like Plano, which has a lot of Asians. But I've definitely saw a lot of like shit that's like been going on like in other places because of like they've been blaming like Asians for coronavirus. Like there was this viral video on like Twitter, and it was like some old Asian guy. He was like picking up like cans to sell to like feed his family. And then I think some like African Americans were like filming him and like harassing him. And then they were like, I think they were throwing his cans at him, and then like he was crying, and then I was like, oh, this is so messed up. But yeah, it was like really sad. And then yeah, I think it's like really because I know like for like Asians, like we're upheld as like the model minority, but then like when like stuff like when there's like a political situation or like something like it's not convenient for like people to like Asians anymore, then like we're kind of like thrust away, and like there's just a lot of like racial tension between us now.
Did your parents ever face any of this harassment, like going grocery shopping or something?
No, because my
Okay.
parents are white. So
Oh.
Oh,
yeah, I'm adopted. Fun fact.
I see it.
Ah.
Yeah, so like it makes sense to them. I just happen to be wrong place, wrong time. Usually it'd be fine. Like I haven't experienced like overt racism like ever in my entire life. It's just now people I guess are encouraged to express feelings of hatred to minorities. So yeah.
What was it
Hmm.
like being like an adoptee, like growing up?
It's kind of fine. Like the community that I was in didn't really think much of it. They would ask me about it, but like it was never like an issue. It was just kind of like, oh, fun fact, she's adopted. But like,
Mm,
I don't know, it's pretty chill up until now.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully this situation ends. I don't really know because like some people are like, oh yeah, hopefully they'll have a vaccine in 18 months. But I'm like 18 months is like that would be the fastest time it would ever take for a vaccine to be developed because they have to like make sure it doesn't like kill people or else they'll give like actual ammo for anti-vaxxers to argue with. But yeah, I heard some people like I think the fastest it's taken for the vaccine to be developed was like for like Ebola. That was like 5 years. And I was like, I can't be in lockdown for 5 years. I'm gonna go. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Apparently, we might be. I was looking at some like data graphs, and like we might be on a decline in cases, but it's really hard to tell because how like how like counties report is like very inconsistent because like sometimes they might not report for some days and like they will report everything like the next day they report. So we will see.
Yeah.
Does coronavirus make you nervous for like the upcoming semester or year?
I wouldn't say nervous. I'm just more concerned about like how will my daily lifestyle change. Like I know we're supposed to go back to campus like in the fall, but like, will I still have all in-person classes, or will like some be online? Like, will there be restricted like access to certain like places? Like, that's the only thing I'm concerned about. Like, how are they going to keep us safe but try and resume normal life?
Are you gonna live like on? Do you like? Have you already signed like an apartment lease, or are you're
I'm,
just stay on campus?
I'm living on campus again. I have like a single dorm room set up for next year, so yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's like pretty nice being on campus because like you're like really close to everything. That's like what I missed when I moved out. Um, the apartments are definitely a lot bigger. But if you're living in a single dorm, then that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You basically.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty sweet spot. It's like in the middle of everything.
Hmm.
So hopefully that won't go to waste and I can actually live there.
Yeah. I wonder if like would they still charge you for housing if like you can't live on campus?
And they already reissued some refunds for like this past half of spring semester. So I'm pretty sure if we don't end up going like the full semester or something like that, they'll just refund us. I don't think that's a big issue.
That makes sense. Because I know for like some apartments, like I don't think they're letting them like get out of their lease, which like makes sense, but it just sucks for like those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like us.
Yeah. The good thing we're graduating, so we don't have to worry about that next semester. But I know for people like next year, they're like, I've already signed the lease, but um I mean I guess they might just come back and to Austin anyway and just like make use of the time there. But I guess it'll be dangerous. I just remember when like I remember a lot of people wanted to go back to Austin, like when quarantine hit, but then they had like the Cabo 44, and they're like, West Campus is a hot zone, and then everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna just stay at home, and the dream was dead.
Mm.
Week that that was announced, that was like reported, it was when I was planning going back.
No, no.
Yeah, I know, right?
And now you're stuck here forever. You're stuck in Plano forever.
Dude, what's crazy is that like people in Austin are still doing stuff. Like my friend sent me a Snapchat from someone's story on the day that like me and Alex officially graduated. Like Sixth Street was completely full, like as if it was normal activity. And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people here, like the big recreation thing in my town is like water recreation because we have a river that goes through our town and we have Schlitterbahn. And people are like, they're just going to their lake, they're hanging out at the river. It's all fine. It's back to normal. But yeah, I'm staying home.
For sure. Don't add to the second wave, which will definitely happen. Like when I saw like when Ben told me about that for like Sixth Street, I was like, bruh, these dumbasses are actually gonna like make it worse.
Yeah.
like that's actually what happened in South Korea, like the nightclub incident.
Do you want to go into that?
Yeah. So like basically what happened is like Korea, like semi recently, they were like, oh, we can resume activities normal because like we basically have no cases anymore. And it's like everything is just like on the decline, right? And so a lot of people were super happy about that. And a lot of young people went to like clubs in like the like I think it was called like Itaewon district. I don't know exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that there was like a club in one of those like richer districts, and like a lot of young people went there. And then one person, I think it was a he intentionally knew that he had corona, and he went there. And like all of those people were like put on like notice because of that. And it's just like then there's like a huge scare because like that like inflated numbers a bunch.
Yeah, that's like pretty messed up.
I
I
know.
don't know why you would do that. It's like you hate mankind. You're just like, I want everyone to die and burn in hell with me.
And then you could go to the bureaucracy of hell and piss off the devil and possess a UT student.
Wow. But you should incorporate that into your story.
I should honestly. We could. I mean, we haven't started production, so we could just write in the coronavirus if we had to,
You're right.
if we wanted to.
You can be the first TV show that's talking about the coronavirus. It'll be a big hit.
Topical.
I heard there's already some classes on the coronavirus. I saw
What?
like the Zoom meme group, like I forgot what it's called, but basically like I think at Stanford or something, they're like, yeah, let's study the impact of coronavirus. And I was like, I feel like you can't really study the impact of something that's going on like right now. Like I feel like you should wait like a couple years. But it's kind of like reminds me when like they try to make like you know how like biopics are like really popular and like whenever like there's like something that like famous goes on like the Boston bombings or like like someone wins like a championship or something, they're like, you need to make a movie about this. Like that's kind of what I feel like when I see like they're making like a class on like coronavirus. It's like you can at least wait like 5-10 years like after it's over to like study it, right? Because like you can't really study something that you're in the midst of. Like you're biased basically.
Yeah.
Dude, also, this is completely tangential, but like I went to Stanford for like a dance ball like event, and like with some of my coworkers because I like TA for a social dance class, and so we went there because like Stanford hosts like a Viennese ball. So I went there. I met some Stanford people, and I was like, "Whoa, these people talk like galaxy brain." Like I don't know how to describe it. Like just their mannerisms. It's just like really like sophisticated, and like their manner of speech is like very very like informed. And I just felt like I was dumb talking to them, just like a normal conversation.
Interesting. So you could really you could feel you could feel the confidence and intelligence radiating off of them.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
guess go to an Ivy League school. Like you should walk around like you went to an Ivy League school.
do fake it till you make it.
All right. So we're approaching an hour. So we'll start wrapping things up. A question that we've typically been asking just at the end to end these things out is like, what are your plans post quarantine?
Post quarantine, I would like to continue working on my show. That's like my one big goal. That's like most eminent is like, can I please finish this? Besides that, I just want to hang out with my friends again.
Me too. Like hang out with your friends and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm looking forward to gatherings larger than 10 or 15. I wanted to write that for my grad quote, but I was like, nah. So I just wrote for the Cantonese and I called it a day.
Dude, one of my friends for the quote, he was like actually gonna put later virgins, and then he was like, "This is too bad," and then changed.
Dude, I think they actually like ask you to change your quote if you write something inappropriate. Like one
Really?
of my friends quoted like 21 Savage or something in this quote, and then like I think it was like explicit, so they're just like, hey, you should not write that. And then I think he changed it to like, I started off as a computer scientist, ended as a poet, learned how to like to mine data, now I write data, something like that. And I was like, okay, that's kind of fire. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, just to wrap things up, thanks for listening. We're Nuanced Nonsense. We're not experts, and we just like talking. But yeah, thank you, Joey, for coming on. It was nice
Thanks for
talking to you.
having me.
Yeah, all right. Signing out.